T10, 2240.
Here. What's up, guys? Happy second half of the weekend. We're going into the big Sunday slate where most of the games lock at noon. And everything leads up, culminates on the solo Sunday night baseball game. It's a fun. I've always appreciated Sunday baseball. It's kind of an off day once you get past the locks. Hope you guys had a good Saturday. Interesting slate of games. We did get impacted by weather. The country seems to be overtaken right now by hopefully maybe the last cold front to rainy front to head into the summer, but hey, maybe not. I know where I'm at. Tomorrow's supposed to get even colder here, back into the 30s for a little bit in Texas. That's kind of cray for the spring. So we'll see if that impacts some games throughout the league. We did see a postponement first of the year. The Fenway game, Red Sox and Cardinals, two teams we liked yesterday, lost those offenses. And then we were kind of skittish on the Pittsburgh game getting in. It did get in. Yankees did their thing. 9-hole Trent Grisham did his thing. And then we got a game going. We got a couple games going. We got the Guardians and the Angels are going. So slate's not over. I just saw George Springer leave the game with an injury, but I got done with most of my stuff pretty early, and most of the games are done. So we're gonna get a head start on the stream. That way, there's a little bit more soak time for people researching tomorrow when you get up. If you guys are watching this on replay, all I ask, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment. Any type of engagement with the video helps the channel as we push back into the good graces of the algorithm and build up the watch time hours needed to get remonetized on the channel. So I think we're well on our way to that. It might actually be less time than I initially projected. What up, Andy? What up, Cujo? In the live chat, if you guys stumble across or you're lurking live, drop a year in the chat, man. Love to see you guys chopping it up. But we're gonna pop into, what the freak is that? We're gonna pop into tomorrow's slate. It looks like 1:35 p.m. Eastern is our kickoff time. Let's go bigger screen here. Let me know if the music's too loud. Otherwise, here we go. Dodgers at the Phillies. Tyler Glass now towing the slab for the Dodgers. Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies. Dodgers 4 runs. Phillies 3.7. Usually a Tyler Glass now game feels like one minus 180. Typically, but just minus 128 on the money line right now up against Chris Sanchez. So feels a little light, feels a little soft. But we'll see if we get one of those wonky Sunday baseball lineups, especially for these road teams looking to pepper in some rest spots. Chris Sanchez, 31.8% K rate in his last outing, 16% swinging strike rate with a 5.1 innings pitched. That seems awfully high. So I'm going to do a little bit digging, see if those type of strikeout numbers are normal. And it looks like no. 20%, 24%, 20%, 22%. So a 31%, anyone over 30% K rate as a starter, you're talking upper echelon. That's your Glass Nows, your DeGroms, your guys like that. So would be expecting some regression to that number. But let's go check out a couple of things. So let's go check out Stuff Plus. Really likes everything in that one game against the Rockies. That explains a lot. It was the Rockies with a 16% swinging strike rate, only a 45% first pitch strike. So wow, Rockies really bad at baseball. So that's going to inflate a lot of above average pitchers, even average pitchers results. Sinker, slider, changeup, almost 2 pitches. Yeah, I feel like that's not going to hold up here. And at 9,100, just a couple hundred cheaper than Tyler Glass. Now, I really got to wonder if that's a little bit of an overreaction. Let's go pull up his spring training campaign. .2 innings in March, 16 strikeouts, over a strikeout per. 204 average, sub 0.9 whip, and a very high ground ball rate. So all of that looks good. Throwing strikes. Looks like he's good. A little uncomfortable pitch against the Dodgers, but it's not impossible. Jesus Luzardo, fellow Southpaw, did just fine. So man, uncomfortable click to say the least. That's a bigger slate. Do we want to take chances up against a elite offense in a hitter's park? I would say maybe. Weather in Citizens Bank looks gloomy, almost 60 degrees when blowing in. Interesting. This probably, in our interest rankings, probably going to lead us to Glass Now 1, just because he's on a different level. 8 strikeouts in 5 innings. Did go 79 pitches, so we might get 90 plus, which is a good sign. So let's go Tyler Glass Now 1. Man, am I... Bust some splits out. Last year, 37.2 innings against lefties, 32 Ks, 142.2 innings against righties, 121 Ks. So less than a K per inning last year. So that's where that regression might come in hand. The whip was a little bit elevated last year as well. So He's a 3-pitch pitcher. It's just not a lot for a starter. Guess the jury's out. The stuff plus look really good, but man, that's the freaking Rocky. So I'm gonna relax on that. So we're gonna go Dodgers, then Phillies, then Chris Sanchez. A little bit of a 4-corner action. Dodgers or Phillies, mainly just betting on talent, likely to get him at a pretty low ownership just because of the matchups on both sides, more so the Philly side. And if Glass has a bad day or gets yanked early, you get a decent opportunity at leveraging the field on big names like Bryce Harper. So would be a really low interest in getting there, but I still want to get there. But certainly in the podium, Glasshouse got to be at the top. Just a different level when it comes to pitching. Does allow homers to lefties. Over a 1 homer per 9 to lefties last 2 years. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. Got to get around those power swings. Let's move on from there. What up, Pinstripe? Hope you're doing all right. Got a little ghosty ghost going tonight. And we started a little bit earlier, so it won't be as drained. Marlins and the Braves. Next game on the docket. Sandy Alcantara taking on Grant Holmes. Got a 3.5 run total for the Marlins, 4.2 for the Braves. Man, Braves we suck again. The Braves went right back to ouch levels of baseball. 0 runs yesterday against the efforts of Cal Quantrill, Ronnie Henriquez, Anthony Venezano, Calvin Faucher, and Anthony Bender. A couple of Anthony's there, that's usually a talented name. Other than that, rough game from the Braves as life without Acuna, life without Profar continues. This team's looking to get back right. They were minus 200 favorites plus in that game. They're about minus 155 now, which is kind of crazy because they're going to be up against Sandy Alcantara. They're easily the best pitcher in the Marlins starting staff. But man, it's a tough, weird, confusing time to be a Braves fan. They say you can't win the World Series in April, but you can miss the playoffs in April. And the Braves are digging a hole, 1-8 to start the season. They're only 5 games, but 5 games back from the Phillies. Guess that division's off to a skitty start, but I mean they got a chance. That's a division you can make up ground, sharing the field with the Nats and the Marlins. But you can't be losing to the Marlins, man. Marlins are 5-4. Good for them. 5-3 of the Mets, 6-2 of the Phillies. So hopefully for the Braves' sake, they get back right. But will it be against Sandy today? I don't know, man. Sandy looked really good in his first 9.2 innings of work. And this guy, before going down to injury, one of the best in all of baseball, looking real Greg Maddoxy. 7 Ks and 4.2 against the Pirates, 4 Ks and 5 against the Mets. 91 pitches in that last outing. Obviously, you would like to see that 91 pitches result in a more efficient output, meaning 5-6 plus innings. This is a guy that used to go 8 innings strong a lot for the Marlins. So if that pitch count's back up, that's a good sign. The 4 walks right here, pretty uncharacteristic to say the least for a guy like Sandy Alcantara. But there's a lot to be encouraged by. Almost a 14% swing and strike rate in his 2 appearances thus far. Going back to 2023, he was sitting around at 12%. So not too outlier-ish for the small sample size. And the ground ball rate has been pristine thus far for him. So like what we see there. Don't love the hard contact rate to lefties so far. He did have an elevated hard contact rate to lefties before going down to injuries. But man, an extra 20%, you want to see that come back down. And this Braves lineup, not a lot of big boppers left. Matty Olson, as far as the left-handed bats go, would be the guy I'd be most concerned about. And also Olson boasts a 12% walk rate to righties. So if Sandy is going through a little spell with throwing strikes to lefties, that'd be somebody to take an eye at or keep an eye on. But for the most part, this is a beatable Braves lineup. And it's a lineup that in this projected offers some strikeouts past Ozzie Albies, almost a 1-4 aggregate. So I gotta say, off the rip, Sandy Alcantara, first on the interest ranking. Want to see if they drop some pitcher prop projected outs, because Sandy, when he's at his best, man, this is a 7-8 inning guy. Doesn't look like those lines are out yet. So what I would be looking for when when that line drops is it at 18.5 already? And I don't know that they go to 18.5 since he hasn't pretty much gone 5 as his max so far, but I think he's got 6 innings worth of pitches in his repertoire for sure. I kind of want to believe that the walks are not going to be an issue for him. Let me go look at his first pitch strike in those 2 games. $55-50. We've seen worse. Certainly want it to be a little bit better. Like I said, the really good number is going to be closer to 70. Looking at 2023, he was 65% first pitch strike. So you're looking for that to come back. So you're not digging a hole and coin flipping whether or not it's 0-1 or 1-0. Over here, check the XFIPs. XFIP on each game was great. 2.84 against Pittsburgh, 2.228 against Miami, 1.9 Sierra. That's what you want. How about BABIP? Is that under advanced? It is. The 182 BABIP, a little bit on the lucky side, but I don't think it's yeah, it's a little bit on the lucky side. But I'm there, man. I'm there on Sandy. Give me a little piece of him with the Braves playing the way that they're playing right now. Inversely, Grant Holmes, I don't think I'm that intrigued by him. Rough first five innings from him, from a metric standpoint. A 23% barrel rate, a 1.6 whip in the 5 innings of work thus far. Expect that to get a little bit better, but he's not super elite. Last year, a 3.46 expected ERA. 16% swinging strike rate is actually really, really good. 25% overall K rate, maybe even a room for increasement if he sustains such a swinging strike rate. And this is a strikeout prone Marlins lineup. Even tonight, AJ, he was cruising on the strikeouts, ended up getting into Jimmy Jam. But man, is Grant Holmes viable here? Grant 6,200 feels awfully cheap. 89 pitches in his last outing. 4 walks again, though. Walks are a problem, but also not something that was a problem for him last year. So he might have just not had his good stuff. I got, man, under 7K, that feels way too cheap for this projected lineup and the strikeout potential they got. Only Jonah Bride and Xavier Edwards have a positive WRC plus against righties. So I think there's an incredible value opportunity here, really on both sides. I mean, Grant Holmes, if he's got 90 pitches in the tank, you could certainly steal a quality start against a team like the Marlins for sure. And the Dodgers, okay, so the walks came against the Dodgers, right? Like, that's going to happen. Dodgers are really good, really patient. You're in your head. You're at Dodger Stadium. I kind of like the idea of Grant being a great value play. So we're going to go Grant Holmes here. And let me do a little digging on Grant Holmes, learn about him a little bit. Fastball, slider, cutter, curveball, a little bit of changeup. So at least a 3, but a 4-pitch pitcher essentially. Positive fastball, positive slider. The cutter doesn't grade out that great, and the Marlins actually do grade out well against the cutter, but a positive curveball. So 3+ pitches and the ability to miss some bats, I'm a little bit interested. Marlins actually grade out pretty well against the curveball as well, but with numbers this high, I imagine that's going to be on shorter sample size than I want it. Usually like 2 with sample size is great. So when guys hit 4 and 5, to me it just means that it's a little bit of a anomaly on sample size. Yeah, Sandy and Grant. With that said, if I'm super interested in both pitchers, neither run total is that intriguing. And I don't know that. I mean, I guess the hard contact rate to lefties by Sandy is a problem. Grant Holmes also has a pretty high hard contact rate. The barrel rate was really high in that first appearance, but again, the Dodgers. So I mean, you bet on talent for a couple one-offs. I said Olsen, Ozuna might be somebody to take a look at, but I think I'm staying off of the stacks from this game. I'm just kind of focusing on pitching. And while I'm here, let me look at weather. Looks like we could be dealing with some rain, possibly. Possible rain. From what I'm looking at, and this is the night before if you're watching on delay, 48% chance of precipitation, 73 degrees. So could be a little bit muggy, a little bit wet, rough defense. But it's at 1:30 Eastern, so if there is gaps in weather, then they could just wait a little bit. Not too worried about that. Usually it's the night games I get really worried about for potential weather postponing. Weather's got to be all day for that to get pushed, but both pitchers look good. Yeah. What up, RC? What up, Unique? What up, Ricky? That man has a mean mustache. Yeah. A little quiet without Pojan and I. Yeah, I think a lot of it's my inconsistent start times. I've told you guys this first couple of weeks are going to be a little bit bouncy and fluid. And that was on behind the paywall and in front of the paywall. We did a lot of progress the last couple of days on stuff behind the in the spreadsheet that I want to get done. So tomorrow I'm pretty confident that tomorrow we'll actually launch the hitter projections. And I've been handcrafting pitching projection. I think I'm gonna stick to the handcrafting pitcher projections. So that's ready. And then on the YouTube side, there's a couple things I want to do for the stream. This is a super basic overlay. If you guys remember the old stuff, I put a little bit of work into it. So when I get time to get that going, I'm working that as well. But another thing for the YouTube side is a more concrete start time. That way you guys know, all right, it's 11:30. Let me see what Gun's yapping about, that type of stuff. But right now I've just been kind of going live, knocking it out as I can. But once we get a more static start time, and people are watching basketball, right? So it's a Saturday, so I don't expect too much on a Saturday night. But we're making progress. That's what you want. Let's move on to PNC Park, where the Pirates host the Yankees yet again. Will Warren towing the slab against former Yankee Andrew Heaney. The Yankees have a 5.1 run total, and the Pirates at 4.1. That's actually moved a little bit since I entered this in the spreadsheet an hour ago. Yankees minus 160, 43 degrees out there in PNC Park. Pitcher-friendly park, Yankees don't care. They don't care. But I will say, this is a park that plays more favorable for lefties and righties. Not that it's league average or better, but we kind of saw that yesterday, especially with Trent Grisham going Yabo twice. Kind of crazy. But I think this Yankees offense is a problem, and it's not top loaded like we've seen in years past, right? This isn't Judge and Soto. This is everyone. Even Jazzy yesterday, he had a pair of stolen bases. In the last 2 games, the bottom of this lineup all contributed. So good sign for the Yankees. So far, they've been a better team against righties since the beginning of last year. So Andrew Heaney, in the 43-degree temperatures, with his high fly balls, maybe fly balls this team to paper cut to death. But we'll see. Another thing to note, Cody Bellinger hasn't been in the lineup 2 games in a row. And now game 3 is against a lefty. We'll see if he cracks the lineup here or if there's something underlying behind him being out. But otherwise, you have to be immediately somewhat intrigued by Andrew Heaney. But it certainly feels like a little bit of a trap spot. Sometimes these fly ball pitchers will get you, especially when the temps are a little bit more favorable for pitching. Does look like wind could be blowing out to right field, which again is a plus for the lefties. But yeah, neither pitcher likely to make my interest list though. Andrew Heaney, not a huge strikeout guy so far this season. Going back to the last couple seasons, yeah, he does have a little bit of swinging strike stuff, but the strikeout rate isn't crazy, and the expected ERA, the WHIP, all that's kind of elevated. And I think this slate's going to offer us some guys that give us a little bit more hope. And you're not pitching against the Yankees. Yankees will likely have one of the highest run totals on the slate, so you got to be interested in them. They're almost matchup proof. But especially against average to the below average pitching, you gotta consider them, and the fact that the bottom half of this lineup is showing the propensity to play some small ball, the stolen bases, hit for average, stuff like that. So give me Yankees at the top. Will Warren, 5 innings out of him in his debut on the season. You go back to last season, 22 innings pitched, 26% K rate, 10% swinging strike rate, but the other metrics, the Sierra, expected ERA, the WHIP, all kind of elevated. Not a ton of sample size behind those numbers, but man, even looking at him in the spring, I wasn't that high on him, understanding that the Yankees are just kind of back against the wall when it comes to the back end of the pitching rotation. Me personally, I'm ready for life without Marcus Stroman. I'm over it. Like, Stroman did not look good at all today. But we're able to bury the story on how bad pitching has been because the offense is dropping double-digit points pretty consistently so far. Let's go look at Will Warren spring. Why did I bring up ESPN? And I think when you start playing these good teams with good pitching, like we kind of saw with the D-backs and Zach Gallen, this offensive outburst is fun, but it's been fun against the Brewers and the Pirates. You know what I mean? This pitching is going to be a problem. So me personally, I hope Will Warren can be good, or maybe even fluky like Luis Gil, with flashes of I get it. 18 innings in March spring training, 18 strikeouts, 274 average, 1.4 WHIP, super positive ground ball rate, ground out to air out ratio in those games. Walks were an issue, 2 walks in each of his last 2 games of less than 4 innings, and 2 homers in each of his last 2 spring games in less than 4 innings. So again, he might get away with this one because it is the Pirates, and the Pirates boast just 3 players, really just 2 players with a above average WRC plus against righties since the beginning of last year. But there's going to come a time where he can't keep getting away with this. If you just want to go off of favorites and porous matchups, I get it. I think I'm a sucker for really believing in the talent, and I'm kind of on the fence. But I do think the Pirates suck enough where you could get to him. I'm just not that enthusiastic about it. So with guys like Glasnow, and if the Braves game is free from weather concerns, I don't think I want to sweat Will Warren here. So I'm not. Andrew Heaney, I already said not going to touch him. Pirates against Will Warren, usual suspects: Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz. Maybe a shot at Jack Sawinski. He's got some pop, but I think most of his pop, I don't know. It's all vomit clicks. Both sides of that is just not fun for me. But give me the Yankees. And that's probably it for now. Yeah. Doing all right in the bunt and the beanball on Fanduel, but can only fall. That's tough. Hate mid up top with PMR. but there's not too many games going. Like it's scary to be up top with PMR when like the Dodgers are playing still and the Padres are playing still. I don't know how much ownership is coagulated in the Angels and Guardians. I bet J-Ram has some ownership, but it looked like they didn't really want to pitch to him earlier. Of course, Santana makes him pay with a bomb. Luis Rengifo, dude, I joked about him being 2 earlier, and of course he bombs, and Soler bombs. So Trout's in a home run sandwich. That's good news for him. Yeah, Trout's, dude, it's probably been like 7 years now. Trout's the 20% owned hammer. So hopefully you don't fall too far. But that game obviously has to score another run. Show up every night as long as the kids are asleep. I appreciate that, RC. I do. Also, last night, I don't know what was going on with my mic last night. But I hopped into the lab here and kind of changed some stuff. So maybe I sound better and more like Gundacker tonight. Last night, I don't know. That didn't sound like me. Surprised no one said anything. Spears underrated. Good Park opened the dome. Shadows and Brewers just had the best hitting game when they sucked. Yo, Unique. Gotta show you something, bro. I gotta show you something. I just gotta show you something. You're in here every night. You're in here every night. Mentioning your boy Juan Soto. You know who else was part of that Juan Soto trade? Guy by the name of Trent Grisham. Juan Soto, year 2025, 241 average, 371 OBP, 785 OPS, 3 RBIs. Trent Grisham, not an everyday starter. 471 average, 571 OBP, 1.6 OPS, 7 RBIs. I'm just saying. Yankees won the Juan Soto trade. Michael King for Trent Grisham was the real deal. Just saying. D-backs and the Nationals. Corbin Burns taking on Brad Lord. I think I got much of nothing on this game in terms of run total. I don't know if Brad Lord's even the for sure starter. I guess he is. Nationals could start Lord against the D-backs on Sunday. Oh my God. Are you going to tell me Sunday's the Lord's day? Wow. If he's not needed out of the bullpen Friday or Saturday. All right. That's a report from the 4th. All right, we got to figure out who Brad Lord is. 2 innings so far out of the pen. So I imagine any stretch is just going to be a bullpen game, probably. Might be an opener situation, the 30, 31st, 4-2nd. Be 4 days. Hasn't thrown more than 20 pitches. So I'm going to call this a bullpen game. And we'll go from there. So we're not pitching whoever the Nationals start. Mike Trout homered. King of the 20% late night hammer, dude. Dang, dude, 3-4-5 with bombs, or 2-3-4 with bombs. That's what you want. If you just a stack by numbers pleb noob. You got it. Corbin Burns, 38% K rate in his first game. 23% last year, 25%. So kind of expecting to be a little bit more like 1-4. Going against the Nationals team that strikeout numbers aren't that obscene. Walk rates certainly aren't that obscene. James Wood and Nate Lowe kind of carrying the walk rates. Pretty average in the WRC plus. I wouldn't talk anyone off of Corbin Burns. 9,500. Kind of hope that he leaves the slate and everything. 8 strikeouts against a much more potent Yankees offense. Give up 2 bombs, three walks here. But metrically, a 17% called strike, 15% swinging strike. And this is going to be a lefty-heavy Nats lineup. And the last 3 years, focus more so the last 2 years, I would say a 24-25% aggregate K rate. So I think he's in play. Put him at the top of the interest rankings here. Corbin Burns. And then D-backs are just, we're betting on talent here. Could tell Marte got hurt. But if we're going pure bullpen game, you can't really say, oh, I like this guy because of this matchup. I mean, sure, you can project maybe everyone to get one look at Brad Lord, but not even if his pitch count isn't that stretchy. So you just kind of betting on talent and grabbing some D-backs bats. Inversely, if you want to pick on Corbin Burns, which I really don't want to, maybe an Abrams or a Wood, 200 plus ISO. Abrams, a much lower K rate than Wood. And Corbin Burns, the last 3 years, has led him up a little bit more consistently to righties. $1.25 on the home run per 9 last year to righties. So maybe an Abrams, but not a priority click by any stretch. Move on to the next game. White Sox and the Tigers. Martin Perez taking on Jackson Jobe. Martin Perez might have pitched the greatest game he'll ever pitch again. 6 innings against the Twins, 9 strikeouts, no hits, 2 ground balls, 5 fly balls. Everything about this is so opposite of what I know about Martin Perez. Even the walks were a little bit like, that's not him. So I'm going to believe the fakeness was at an all-time high. This is what I'm going to believe. And I think Vegas believes that too. Because the Tigers of Detroit, not known to be powerhouses. You look at their standings. Okay, of course, they're first place. 4-4. They are minus 220 favorites right now. I think a lot of that's because of the young gun Jackson Jobe on the bump. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people are running to chase Martin Perez and his performance. But metrically, the metrics aren't suggesting luck in terms of the results. It's just nothing's in alignment with what we know about Martin Perez. 60% fly ball rate from his batted ball events to righties and the elevated walk rate. And I don't know, man. Martin Perez getting strikeouts in 2025 is just such a wild occurrence to me. Go check out his spring numbers. Mike Trout comeback player of the year. I feels like a cheesy. I don't disagree. Like right now, feels a little bit cheesy. I don't know. I feel like Shane Baz could be a problem if he stays healthy too. If we were going to split hairs, but Mike Trout's an everyday player, so he'll likely lead the charge in any type of consideration for something like that. 14 innings in March of spring training, 13 strikeouts, a 1.17 ground out to arrow ratio, 1.3 whip, 269 average allowed. He actually had a couple walks in his last 3 appearances. 5 strikeouts in 4 innings against the Angels, 6 in 4 innings against the Rockies. The Rockies sucked. The Angels were meh. And then we saw 1 strikeout in 3, 1 strikeout in 3. I'm just going to have to believe that Martin Perez is not the GOAT. He might be the GOAT. He might be. But I'm going to have to believe he's not. And then Jackson Jobe. One of the more exciting pieces of the Tigers organization right now. At Seattle, 4 innings pitched, 2 bombs, 4 walks, 79 pitches. Not a great day, especially results-wise for him. But he's the guy. And, you know, if he doesn't put it together here, he doesn't put it together here. Some kids need a couple games. But he's a guy that certainly projects to be really good at baseball. Last season, he debuted in the playoffs and had to pitch some high stress stuff. In the minors last season, 91.2 innings pitched, 9.43 K per nine. That's 25% strikeout rate, a 12% walk rate. So the walks are a problem, and he's had double-digit walk problems, double-digit percentage walk problems in the pretty much every level he pitched at last year. So I'm worried about that. But the 1 in 4 K rate is nice. And this is a Tigers team that can certainly strike out. And Vegas has kind of got his back. Or excuse me, this is a White Sox team that can certainly strike out, and Vegas has got his back. And we saw even man, I'm drawing a blank. What up? Logan O'Hoppe scored. Yo, Angels are going off all of a sudden, huh? Angels were the stack. Reese Olson, 6 innings, 5 strikeouts. Kind of a bad beat there because he had 5 after 5 and a low pitch count. But yeah, even he was able to overcome a rough first inning and rack up the Ks. Now, White Sox have been a little bit scrappy. Reese gave up 7 hits, 3 walks, so 10 base runners in 6 innings. Certainly not what you want. And it's maybe one of those too dumb to know they suck situations, but there's still long-term a lot of red here. So I think Jackson Jobe is in the mix for me. I'd be curious to see where the field lands on him, because I feel like a lot of the check marks are there, and most people know he's supposed to be good, and most people know the White Sox and their 3.1 run total are attackable. But at almost 9K, there's a lot of competition in that price range. So I'd be curious to see if he on DraftKings, if he's in the double digits or what, you know. Martin Perez, I'm not gonna do it, man. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. I don't wanna. But I guess if there's a team that he can curtain call a solid performance, 7,100 on DraftKings, AK on Fanduel, what I do expect out of Martin Perez is the ability to go out there, eat innings, not get shelled, not give up homers. Maybe you get an 1/8 of a strikeout per inning implied. So 6 innings of quality start baseball, maybe 5 strikeout. That's like a box score I'd be more inclined to expect out of like Martin Perez in 2025. And I don't think that's a crazy box score to settle on like FanDuel, where you get a little extra boost for the quality start. Can't really hold your breath on the dub, as they're pretty massive road dogs here, but there's some merit in that thought process. Justin Henry Malloy, short sample, big WRC plus. Expect that to drop along with a couple of these other metrics, but him and Spencer Torkelson are the two guys I'd be most afraid of. So I'm gonna write Martin Perez, but understand this isn't because he had 9 strikeouts. This isn't point chasing. This is like, okay, good matchup, decent park, ground ball guy, good pitch count, good price, and that's it. What can we find on Jobe's home runs? Kind of all over the place, but he's been all right. Jobe looks like he's got some more ironing out to do, and it does seem like if the Tigers had better pitching, he wouldn't be up here already. but might as well. It's a great outing for Perez. I don't think it's enough, though. Probably not. But, you know, if that $1,200 savings on Fanduel got you something in a bet, you know, it offset. But I'm with you. Like, I'm wanting to extract ceiling out of my pitcher, especially on single pitcher site, on a slate that involves Tyler Glass now. You know what I mean? I typically don't get too cute at pitching. I'm pretty tired of my pitching pool. If it's a slate where I like 10 pitchers, I'm probably not making money in that slate. I like to go crazy on Fanduel with like 3 pitchers, maybe 4. And then on DraftKings, I'm a little bit more loose because the SP2, you know, you're just kind of looking for 14 to 20 puncher's chance, right? Unless you can double stack aces. But that's where I'm at here. Let's move on to the next game. Blue Jays and the Mets. Bowden Francis taking on David Peterson. Blue Jays 3.6 run total right now. Mets 4.1. Francis in his season debut. 17% K rate through 6 innings. Sub 8% swing and strike rate. Kind of expect both of those to kind of go up. We have enough sample size to believe that player, Teddy Long. 2 bombs in that game, but a 10-4 ground ball to fly ball ratio, 91 pitches. That's a good sign. And with a couple of guys we see around 90, that's a good sign. You know, he's off the chain, and I think he's a pretty good overall pitcher. I want to see his barrel rate a little bit lower, but for the most part, I think I don't think he's a gas can by any stretch. In this particular matchup, what stands out the most is the propensity to serve up homers to lefties 3 years straight. Elevated hard contact rate. The fly ball rate is usually above 40%. In small sample, he went crazy with ground balls against lefties. You know, almost a 70-30 split there. Kind of expect that to normalize with more sample. And he had a little bit of a walk problem in that opening game against lefties. So that's Juan Soto. That's Francisco Lindor. I've said it before. Brandon Nimmo. Those guys line up pretty nicely against the weaknesses, if you will, daddy, of Bowden Francis. And also, Francis's strikeout stuff to lefties, he's pretty lopsided, pretty split intensive when you go back 3 years. Almost a 30% aggregate K rate to righties, but it cuts in half against lefties. So looks like man, those are some extreme splits. The average is still pretty solid. Let me make sure that's not like a coding error, because that seems pretty aggressive. Splits. Let's go last year. Yeah, 31 Ks, 60. Yeah, that's real. 13 Ks in 20 innings, 22 Ks. So not a ton of sample size in 23, but in 24, yeah, he certainly struck out lefties a much lower clip than righties. Let's look at the batted ball data. 47.5% pull rate. Does jam some infield fly balls. 20+% line drive rate last year to the lefties. Man, this Mets team probably going to feature 5 guys in the left batter's box. That's a little bit scary to me. I'm going to stay away from that, trying to target upside. But it looks like a really good spot for Juan Soto, considering those metrics. Let me take an early look at the bomb detector, see how high Soto is. Soto is at a 395. That's not too bad. David Peterson on the bump for the Mets. Great first game out of him. 36% K rate in 6 innings. Again, with some of these fun with small sample sizes. want to lean a little bit more into the last couple of years of information that we have. In the last 232 innings of sample size from him, it's going to be more in the 1 in 4, 1 in 5 K rate range, with a similar swinging strike rate that we saw on his first start. Expected ERA, a little bit on the lucky side when you look at his actual ERA from that game. So maybe I'm tapering my expectations on him. Blue Jays against lefties. Man, what is it with the Blue Jays, the Padres, these teams that should be lefty mashers? They just don't, especially the Padres. It makes no sense. But in this Blue Jays projected lineup, just 2 guys with a positive WRC plus against lefties since the beginning of last year. Today, George Springer left the game with an injury. I don't know if that makes it better or worse for the Blue Jays, to be honest here. David Peterson does have a walk problem to righties. Ground ball rate's almost 1-to-1 between ground ball to fly ball. Hard contacts up there. Kind of an ugly, hard to read spot, but Blue Jays just a 3.6 run total. What's the weather in Citi Field? 56 degrees, wind kind of coming in. Just kind of like not fun. But I think I am on Mets. And then if I want to pick on Peterson, I mean, it's Vladdy, maybe Santander. Those are your 2 WRC plus guys. That's kind of it. What's the pitch report telling me on Mr. Peterson? Fastball, slider, curve, changeup. Yeah, Vladdy and Santander. I mean, those are the 2. Vladdy. We'll kind of go from there. Francis tops out at 93 and he doesn't locate. Clearly. Give you Mets. You got him. Orioles taking on the Royals. Kate Povich taking on Chris Bubich. Orioles with a 4.2 run total. Royals 4.1. It's a battle of the Southpaws. Povich digging into last season. He's had a 40% K rate on an 8.5% swinging strike rate in one game. What happened there? What happened there? %65% first pitch strike. But first of all, who was it against? Boston. It's not even like a crazy high called strike rate either. It's just like kind of funny. Let's go Stuff Plus. Stuff Plus has them a little bit below average. Good location. Yeah, I'm not super intrigued there, especially when I expect a massive drop off in K percentage. They gave us 15.5 outs with a little bit of a vig on the over for Povich tomorrow. That's one of the few lines that are out. It looks like more lines are dropping. They got 4.5 strikeouts with vig on the under. So yeah, they're not buying the fakeness either, and this is not a strikeout team. So no Povich. So we got to be interested in some Royals. Bubich on the bump for the Royals, man. He has been pretty solid. A couple years back, I remember this was a guy I targeted, but boy, has he put it together in the last couple seasons. Crazy high ground ball rate, suppressing some power. This is an extremely righty heavy projected Orioles lineup. So if we lean into the last two, now I'll also say 36.1 innings of sample here. So not a ton, but it's what we got. And this stuff is looking pretty good. Let me just go into spring here for Bubich. Let's see if this was lining up. 17.2 innings, 19 strikeouts, 0.82 ground out to air out ratio with a 1.5 whip. And that was influenced by 20 hits allowed in 17.2. So 6 walks is 2. So, I'm a little bit intrigued by Bubic. Don't love pitching against the Orioles ever. But I do like what I see. So I'm going to go Chris Bubic here. I'm also going to go Orioles. Just because unlike some of these other pitchers I don't like that are in good matchups, I do like Bubic metrically, especially isolating his splits against righties, which he should be seeing a lot of righties. These righties are really doggone good, especially against lefties. So it's kind of a, two sides of this clash that could certainly thrive. Other than Gary Sanchez and Cedric Mullins in the projected, everyone's got a really good WRC plus against lefties. The OPS is nice. The ISO is great. So it certainly feels like a big time clash here. So I'm going to have pieces of both sides and the Royals, but I'm not going to get to Cade Povich. Orioles are actually, it's about a coin flip now. When I first updated the spreadsheet, the Orioles were slight favorites, but now I'm looking at 2 4.1s. So that's how I'm reading that one. Let's move on to the Reds and Brewers. Carson Spears taking on Chad Patrick. .8 run total for the Reds, 4.4 on the Brewers. Neither pitcher seems super remarkable. 12% swinging strike rate is a good sign out of Spears in that first outing, but small inning sample size expected to regress to the 10-ish that we saw in the 2 seasons prior. And then inversely, Chad Patrick, 5.2 innings out of him. Very, very low swinging strike rate, pitching to contact. Kind of got lucky with the Ks as well. All the other metrics, the expected ERA, the whip, none of that is super fantastic. So let's remind ourselves what we're dealing with. Let's go look at spring, and then maybe we can get some data off of him in seasons past in the minors. Yeah, just a really non-impressive spring. 5K is 5.1, but 11 hits. No bombs. That's a good point. I mean, that's a good... Whatever. We don't play guys with 2 first names. That's just not what we do here. .136.1 innings in AAA last year. A 2.57 walk per night. That's not what you want. Strikeout stuff is there. So maybe we will see an increase in the swing and strike rate. But the walks are a problem. And it looks like the walks have been a problem, at least for the last 2 years. Going to Oakland's AAA. Arizona's AA. I'd cut them some slack here and say 10%. But if you're a 10% walk rate in the minors, kind of only expect that to go up when you transfer to the majors with the bumpy steps to get things going. And that's kind of what we saw so far. So I don't think I'm getting to Chad Patrick here, but they are really giving him some respect here with this Reds run line being just 3.8. Reds put up some runs last night or yesterday or today or whenever you're watching this. I'm gonna look at this Brewers bullpen. Actually, I can just do it here, huh? Nothing super astonishing here. I guess what wish I saw out of the Reds to like him more would be an elevated walk rate. Also, Matt McClain hurt his hamstring or something 2 days ago. He was in the lineup yesterday, and then he was late scratch. So he may not be in this lineup, and that might water it down a little bit more. Right now, I'm thinking, do I like a Reds over 3.5 run total bet against Chad Patrick? It's a pretty strong maybe right now. We did see Frito go Yabo. Let's go back to Chad Patrick's home run numbers. He's not immune to the long ball either. Interesting. Carson Spears for the Reds here. Nothing super impressive here. So I think this is a game we're targeting offense. Looking at Spears' weakness, a lot of power in the 96.2 innings going back to the beginning of last year allowed. 2 home run per 9 last year to lefties. Over 2 so far combined this season. Now, some of that is likely in Great American Ballpark, where it's pretty home run friendly. With that said, American Family Field, it feels dirty saying that. Miller Park, those who know. This park's fine for homers. 9% above average to righties, 10% above average to lefties last couple years. So not impossible. So I think we're going offense here. Brewers full stack is a little bit easier to fill out and feel okay. But I feel like I gotta get to Reds and just expect some beatable pitching on both sides. And the Reds are the Reds, man. Seems like they scored 0 or 10. They scored 11 yesterday. TJ Friedl went 4 for 5 in the leadoff spot. He's under 4K today on DraftKings, under 3K on Fanduel, likely to lead off again after that. Espinal 2 for 5. Ellie De La Cruz, couple of RBIs. Strand got into one. The bottom of the lineup, Blake Dunn. I think Blake Dunn was the guy that came in for Matt McClain. He produced with a bomb in the 8th spot. Jose Trevino, former Yankee great, he produced. So certainly not impossible for this team to come through. And there are some speedsters like Ellie to swipe some bags. So I'm going double offense when it comes to interest in that game. And I'm going to stay away from the pitchers. Next up, Astros and Twins. Ronel Blanco taking on Chris Paddock. 4.2 run total for the Astros, 4.5 for the Twins. Twins kind of went off. Big old 6-run out of them. Only Jose Miranda hit double-digit DraftKings points. A lot of paper cuts in that ugly weather game, temperature game-wise. Blanco on the bump here for the Astros. He walked away from game 1 with a 13% swinging strike rate, essentially picking up where he was sitting at the last 2 years aggregately. And the 28% K rate, probably a little bit above what we expect with more sample, but 1 and 4 is a very reasonable projection. And expect him to be about a 1 on the whip. Does have a walk problem. Essentially 10% plus to both sides of the plate last 3 years. There are some Twins bats that walk. Matt Wallner, Carlos Correa, Trevor Larnach, Willie Castro, Julian, all 9+% walk rates against righties since the beginning of last year. All super positive WRC pluses. So kind of can paint a picture with both sides kind of succeeding. 4.5 run total for the Twins. Kind of looks like they might be leaning towards Blanco's failure hitting a little bit more than succeeding. But I'm a little bit encouraged here by the strikeout stuff, and there are some strikeouts to be had on this Twins lineup. I don't think we're getting a fantastic deal price-wise on Blanco, but I think he's good and fine in the right spots. This might not be the right spot, but the strikeouts are there. So maybe we're, you know, I'm carving a corner out for him for a future slate. But it wouldn't stun me if he had a pretty solid game. I just wish he was a little bit cheaper to make this kind of feel like a sneaky play, you know? So let's isolate his weaknesses, though. The walk rate and the power to lefties. If you get behind an account, kind of limits your likely pitch selection. And then it enhances guys like Wallner, Trevor Larnach. Wallner looks pretty solid. The only problem with Wallner is his strikeout rate's pretty high. Blanco has struck out lefties at a lower clip than righties the last couple seasons. I think Wallner was 2 on the bomb detector here. 240 at bats versus 88.2 innings pitched by the pitcher. So a decent enough sample size that Wallner is kind of there. Just out of curiosity, Mr. Wallner, how's the bat swing going this season? You know what I mean? What's our barrels looking like? You know what I mean? I'm having like back spasms right now. So if it looks like I'm wiggling, I promise I'm not tweaking. It does hurt though. First pitch strike. .198 expected batting average, but a 43% hard hit. 7% barrel. You want that a little bit higher? AKA more than one barrel. Out of 14 batted ball events, one of them was barreled. But he's number 2 on the bomb detector. It's really cheap, particularly on Fanduel. Interesting. Man, dude. Do I type Ronel Blanco? Here's the question. I'm on the fence. I'll write some notes. Blanco has justifiable metrics to take a chance on. Personally, wish he was cheaper to feel like a sneaky value. Click. A lot of competition at his price range. I think that's fair, yeah. All right, yeah. Chris Paddock got Billy bopped in his last outing against a team that I think everyone hoped he wouldn't get bopped by. The Chicago White Sox. 3.2 innings pitched, and it all fell apart. 3 bombs, 4 walks, 6 hits. What are we doing? Not what you want out of Chris Paddock. Go check out the pitch report. Former Padre great. Fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. Negative grades on anything but a slight positive on the fastball that has not a lot of velo behind it in today's standards. Can't pitch him. Can't do it. So we got to get to some Astros bats. Just really rough. I mean, you remember Chris Paddock from the San Diego? I think it was San Diego days. Saw some glimmers of hope, and maybe he gets back to it. But right now, it's just not there. It hasn't been there for a while. 88 innings of sample size last year. He's just not in great form to want to pitch against the Astros, the Alvarez's, the Christian Walkers, those type of guys. I would imagine Yordan Alvarez is popping up here. Yeah, he's got a 396 on the bomb rating. So he's top 6. So is Buxton. Interesting. The Brewers scored 0 or 5. Yeah, it's frustrating to have teams like that. They either go off or they score 0, but that's kind of the whole point of stacking. You're going all in, selling floor for ceiling, and hoping for the best. Padres into Cubs. Next game of the docket, Kyle Hart taking on Ben Brown. Two of the most basic names. Padres 3.6 run total. Cubs 4.1. Kyle Hart 5 innings in his debut. Meh, right? Some glimmers of hope with the swing and strike rate, but overall, whatever. And then Ben Brown liked his strikeout potential going into that game, or in his. Has he got 2 appearances now? He does. 5 innings against the Athletics, 5 Ks. But the hits allowed is kind of worrisome. The walks are kind of worrisome. So Ben Brown might be more of a guy we target for strikeout props, and the Padres not a team I target for strikeout props. And he's not a lefty, so this turns the WRC plus column from glowing red, and show you guys an aesthetic where 2 guys have a plus WRC plus, and you put it red and with green light special in it. So this is a good spot for the Padres to look alive against Mr. Brown. Golly, man, back spasms. So let's put the Padres as a stack interest, and then inversely, Kyle Hart. I guess we're gonna go remind ourselves who Kyle Hart is. Last year he was in the KBO. 157 innings pitched, a 28% K rate with a 6% walk rate. I think I've said this before, but that doesn't mean too much to me, but I still think looking at his AAA numbers from 23, 22, man, it hurts. I'm trying to no sell it. Oh man, I'm having some real back spasms right now. Oh, I gotta drink some more water. I don't know. Expecting him to be a 1 in 5 K rate overall. Over a 1 home run per 9 going back to the Seattle and Boston days. So kind of don't know what we're gonna get. We kind of got an idea, but I really can't 1-to-1 his KBO numbers to the major leagues, because KBO bats are just not the same level. And we've kind of made the Dan Straley reference before. Average pitchers in the majors go to KBO, and they're the aces, you know what I mean? So I think I'm intrigued by both offenses. And this Cubs team, that WRC plus column against lefties is looking pretty solid too. 148 for Suzuki, 142 for Tucker, 124 for Turner, 152 for Hold Me Closer, Time to Dance Me, 119 for Nico Horner. Yeah, offense only for me in this one, despite a 7.5 run total in 44-degree weather out there in Wrigley. Matriculate on to the last game of the DraftKings 11-game main slate, where Drew Rasmussen takes on Kumar Rocker. 4.1 run total for the Rays, 4.1 for the Rangers. Rocker is kind of what we expect him to be so far. A young guy with a lot of talent in there, but some command issues and some jitters. 7 hits in 3 innings at Cincy, 2 bombs, and a couple walks. Just wasn't his day. And he'll look to bounce back here against a Rays team that kind of middling on the pack when it comes to WRC plus against righties. Same with walks, same with strikeouts. So not an insanely great matchup, but not necessarily a cupcake spot either for Mr. Rocker. I think he's still got too many wrinkles to iron out for me to be taking shots at him. So with the competition that's on this slate, I probably don't get there. And then Rasmussen, the swing and strike rate plummeted in game 1, but I still, don't necessarily think that that's going to hold up long term. 70 pitches in that 5-inning outing against Pittsburgh, 4 strikeouts, 5-5, 1-to-1 ground ball fly ball ratio, no walks. That's a good sign. 2 hits. So pretty decent run prevention stats. The expected ERA was pristine, and that's something we've seen out of him for a while now. He's pretty good. He's a good real life pitcher, and I think there's times where he's a good DFS pitcher. This Rangers lineup, 1-in-5 aggregate K rate, I guess looks like in the projected. There's some names you certainly respect, but there's enough of what happened there? There's enough 97. There we go. I have to come back and fix this. Let me make a note. Gun. Fix 23 lefty column. There's enough respect in this Rangers lineup that I'm not shoving here. But man, if we get to 85 pitches, shot at 6 innings, I think he's a good enough hole filler with a decent enough ground ball rate to neutralize some of the power spots. Only 3 guys in this projected lineup: Jock Peterson, Adolis Garcia, and Jake Berga, who bombed yesterday, have a 200 plus ISO. So I'm not anti Drew Rasmussen here. I think I'm a little bit more intrigued on maybe DK just because he is so efficient. Basically a coin flip for the win, and that's kind of disrespectful because Rocker's been so rocky. but yeah, so give me Rasmussen here. There's really no weaknesses in his game that I just want to attack with any of these guys, so I'm not leaning on a Ranger stack. And then I want to get some Rays, man. If you're going to have command issues, that already digs you a hole. And that opens up the multi-run long ball opportunity in the crooked number innings. So Rays offense, Rasmussen as the pitcher. I'd probably be really interested in Rays first 5. Maybe it's just me, but I don't feel like this is a coin flip. Unless, I don't know. I don't feel like it's a coin flip. I feel like I would put the seesaw more in the direction of the Rays. Not that I think the offense is that much better than the Rangers. I just think Rasmussen is that much more consistent right now than Rocker. That's kind of where I'm at on that. What up, Josh? What up, Tall? Duke just blew the lead. Cooper Flag, not him. I don't know. I don't watch college. All right, so that is your main slate, your noon slate on DK. I would assume there's a couple more games. Let me open it up a little bit more. There's 2 games in the afternoon. So if you guys want, I'll chop them up, but I have to type them up at the same time. So we'll do that. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns on the early slate, throw them at me. Remember, like we saw today, keep an eye on the weather. It is a thing right now across the nation. Randy. Brian Wu. is on the bump for the Mariners out there in Oracle. It's gonna be a day game. Hey, we've actually seen some offense from these teams at night. Turn the lights on, and of course we'll get a pitcher's duel. It's just, I don't make the rules. It's just what's gonna happen. Jordan Hicks pitching for the Giants. 3.7 run total for the Mariners. Giants sitting on 3.9. This is on your 2-game afternoon slate for DraftKings, and a lot of times that's on your main slate for Fanduel. I didn't double check that. Maybe one of you guys can take a peek, but historically Fanduel has left on the annoying afternoon games on Sunday. So right now I'm just assuming it is. Woo, 6 innings in his last outing. I think last outing, right? Ooh, woo. Yeah, 6 innings against the Athletics, 76 pitches. So we might be expecting 85 to 90. Looked okay. Barrel rate a little high. Not throwing a lot of strikes, it looks like. 10.5% swing and strike rate. 1.5 K rate. Sub 1 whip. Facing a Giants team that certainly offers up some strikeout potential. Shuffling positive and negative WRC pluses against righties. So if you're on a 2-game slate, I think Brian Wu is certainly in consideration, just because he does have ability to strike people out enough in a positive park against a lineup that can strike out. On the bigger slate, especially on FanDuel, if he is 9,500 and included on that slate, I'm probably not that enthralled by him. Let me put a DK Newt afternoon. We'll put that as a disclaimer. Jordan Hicks, 8% swing and strike rate, but a 28% K rate on a 26% called strike. So he got his gas back. What's up with that? Homie was Sherwin-Williams painting out there. Let's go pitch velocity. Yeah, he's got the gas. Almost 99 miles an hour on the fastball. That's what you want. With a negative with a negative grade. Looks like his secondary pitches were really nice to him. Sinker slider were really good. So hey man, if your fastball could be league average and run as long as you got something secondary, that's great. You can only sit on 100 and adjust so much. I was thinking before that game too, I was like, man, this guy throws gas, doesn't he? Like, why was his K stuff so low? But let's open that up actually. So last year's fastball was all over the place, I guess. But when he was with the Cardinals, I knew him for gas, you know? Yeah, he was throwing over 100 with the Cardinals. And I expect your average velocity to dip as a starter. And it's kind of what we saw last season. If you go to 2023, average velocity on that fastball was 100 miles an hour. And then last year, down to 95. But then to this year, 98.7. If he's going to get back to throwing gas, I mean, that 3 to 4 miles an hour certainly matters. And I think we're going to see his strikeouts come up, as we saw in game 1. And the Mariners will absolutely strike out. So I'm a little bit intrigued by that. Did Vegas offer us a K prop line for him this early? Doesn't look like they did. Yeah, if we're back on the juice, for Hicks's fastball. I'm interested. He had a 50% whiff on the sweeper. He has a sweeper. Last year's sweeper whiff rate was 37%. Yeah, there's absolutely an increase in velocity here, year over year. Now, maybe that declines a little bit, but man, 98.7 in April. I mean, that's a 3+ mile an hour increase, which is what we know he can do. I'm gonna get to some Jordan Hicks here on the interest chart. This is a heavy strikeout team, and I just kind of gotta, if this K prop comes out at like 5.5, I'm in there. 72 pitches, probably get to 85. .48 sinkers against the Astros. I guess the sinker's registering as a fastball in some of these spots. I mean, 98 mile an hour sinker? That's not fair. That's just not fair. 192 expected batting average on that pitch. 252 expected slug. -7 launch angle. I'm there on Hicksy, and now I'm gonna dig a hole because I'm gonna dig a hole on some prop bets for him when those start surfacing for sure. What's up, Julia? Yeah, baseball is hard, Miss Julia. Especially this early. With rain and cold temps, and they always say sometimes pitchers get to their form before hitters, so attacking some of these offenses for stacks kind of slow to start, but it is a marathon, not a race. So gotta stick with it. But I was telling Miss Julia the other night, the smaller slates, the 6, that's where it's at. Those big slates almost guaranteed double and triple dongs, and if you ain't got it, you got a shot at winning. But the season's young. In a couple of weeks, another month from now, most of these pitchers will be up to 100 pitches on their pitch count. So you can imply more in the 6 innings. The hitters will hopefully find their stride. The temps will warm up a little bit. And then we might see some explosive offenses, even though we have seen a couple of spots and a couple of broadcasters suggesting some juice balls, but yeah, it is hard. That's why only the strong survive. Yeah, all the fish, they're over there playing preseason NBA tomorrow. Guardians and the Angels. Last game in the afternoon. This series has certainly produced some runs out there in Anaheim. And the stars are shining. But if you're an Angels fan, you got to be happy with what you saw tonight. Luis L. Ortiz projected starter for the Guardians. A righty. He'll be up against Tyler. The Andersons got tickets to the game. How'd they get tickets? And a lot of offense, a lot of pop out of these Angels bats. I think at last check we had 4 homers. I'll pull it back up here in a moment. Refresh. Yeah, they got 10 runs right now. Homer out of the bat of Luis Rengifo, Mike Trout, Jorge Soler, Logan O'Hoppe. 4 moms. That's a good sign for them. Tanner Bybee got rocked. Tristan McKenzie got rocked. And then Joey Cantillo came in there. So McKenzie on paper is a solid reliever. Was a great starter with a high K rate. So looking at their bullpen usage chart for Cleveland, knowing that those guys pitched Clase through 27 pitches Friday night. They use a lot of arms on Friday, but most of these guys should be ready to go tomorrow. But Clase is about the only elite guy I'm running for. Maybe Hunter Gaddis and Sewald. I guess they're all pretty good. This lane right here, Hunter Gaddis, Paul Sewald, and Tim Herron all have a double-digit K per 9. But you likely, I mean, you see inflated strikeout rates out of bullpen guys. But if they're available today, it's a tougher road to success for the Angels stack. But it certainly disqualifies. You're not going to see McKenzie pitch. You maybe see some Jacob Junis. Yeah. So chopping this game up, Guardians have a 4.8 run total. Angels 4.5. That's nearly a 5-run total there for the Guardians. And Tyler Anderson, not great. And that bullpen also doesn't scare me too much. So I'm going to lean with that and go Guardians offense at the top of the interest ranking. And then Luis Ortiz, I think if he gets got, like if he collapses, it stands to reason that like Jacob Junis would be the mop-up guy, and he could certainly get got. He's not bad, but he can get got. So I think the Angels heard what I said with these two teams. I was like, yeah, it's J-Ram and Trout, everybody else, whatever. But Jorge Soler, we know he has pop. And Logan O'Hoppe I can get behind, but you got to get through these K rates. And the last 3 years of Ortiz, sub 20% K rate, sub 10% swing strike rate. So that's good. If you're going to neutralize these K rates and tap into these green OPSs and ISOs, it could be another offensive game, and this time with a little daylight to boot. Neither pitcher for me. Guardians, Angels. I like the pitchers from the Giants game in the afternoon, and I like the offenses from the Angels game in the afternoon. And that's how we do that. Kitty. Uh-oh. All right, that's what we're working with. That's our games for the day. I don't know. Does anybody? I don't really mess with the Sunday night showdowns too much. Boston and St. Louis, and they'll be working with a doubleheader, so I don't know what's going on, like who's pitching a night game. So I don't want to go too crazy in that. All I know is Boston and St. Louis. Almost doesn't matter who's pitching. I'd be interested in both offenses in both games, assuming they're running doubleheader tomorrow. I don't know. I'm just assuming since they postponed today. So that's our look at the slate. If you guys want access to the spreadsheet, the bomb detector, the pitch report, the handcrafted pitcher fantasy projections, and the hitter projections should be able to go live tomorrow. go to MLBgrind.com. Get yourself a membership, sign up, try a week pass, see what you think. Jump in the Discord. If you got questions, comments, concerns, throw them in the Discord or hit me up on Twitter. Before you get out of here, if you wouldn't mind, hit that thumbs up. And if you're watching, leave a comment. All the engagement with the video helps a lot to hopefully we can turn on the monetization button back on the channel pretty soon. But I appreciate you guys. Showdown would be a great breakdown. I don't know the who's pitching in the main game, but it's all offense. That game in Fenway, all offense for me. So it's not really something I can really provide a lot of value for. It might be the same breakdown I gave yesterday if it's Michaelis and whoever. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. I'll catch you tomorrow night sometime, probably, right? What's the MLB schedule for Monday? Used to be Mondays for travel days. But Monday, okay, yeah, Monday's looking pretty wide open. And most games start after 5, so thank you. Thank you. I don't have to get up at 12 to cover. Let's go. I see you guys. Hey, man, have fun. Tell somebody you love them. I love you. Good luck. God bless. Go with some money.